A one-person billion-dollar company sounded impossible until Sam Altman said it was going to happen. And when you look at what solo founders are already doing right now, you start to think he might be underselling it. 1 in 3 startups today is built by a single person. That number was closer to 1 in 6 just 7 years ago. And the math behind why tells a completely different story than most founders realize. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how this works, the money metric most founders are tracking wrong, why the cost of building a company is completely changed, and how one person with the right setup can outproduce a team of 10. Because the first person to build a one-person billion-dollar company isn't going to get there by working harder than everyone else. They're going to get there because they understood the math before anyone else did. For most of software's history, a bigger team meant you were a more serious company. More revenue meant more people. It was just the only way anyone knew how to do it. Tony Din proves that wrong. He sold his last company, went completely solo, and built TypingMind to over $1 million a year in revenue with 0 employees and 0 investors. Just him. And the reason that's possible is simple. Most of what a company actually does can now be handled by software. And so the amount of it that needs a human keeps shrinking. So let's actually run the numbers. A normal software company doing $10 million a year usually has 30 to 60 people. So each person accounts for about 200,000 to 500,000 of that. An AI-first company doing the same $10 million might only need 3 to 10 people, which means each person is responsible for $1 to $3 million. That's the same revenue, but a fraction of the team. A billion-dollar company is usually bringing in around $100 million a year. At the old ratios, you need 500 to 700 people to get there. At the new ratios, maybe 20 to 30. Solo builders are already hitting 7 figures on their own, so the gap between where they are and a billion-dollar company is a lot smaller than it used to be. But how much money each person generates is only one side of this. And the side most founders never look at is what it actually costs to build the thing. The cost to build has changed. Everyone knows that. But building is only one of 3 costs that have completely shifted. And the other 2 are what most founders never think about until they're already behind. In 2015, getting a basic product off the ground cost between $50,000 and $150,000 and took over a year. Today, you can build the same thing for $500 to $5,000 and ship it in a few weeks. That means the problem is no longer building the product, the problem is getting people behind it. That's where the second cost shift comes in. Founders building in public on X and YouTube are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in customers without spending anything on ads. Mark Liu, for example, crossed $1 million a year in revenue entirely through his audience on X. He just documents what he's building and the people watching become his customers. So the cost to get a new customer isn't 0, but it's close because you're spending time instead of money. Put those together and the math gets interesting. A one-person AI business doing $100,000 a month is spending maybe $3,000 to $8,000 on servers and AI costs, $500 to $2,000 on tools, close to nothing on marketing if you build an audience, and nothing on salaries except your own. That's a profit margin most businesses would kill for, but only if you keep the AI running costs under control, because those can sneak up fast if the product isn't built right. Scale that to $1 million a month and the costs go up, but the team doesn't have to, because customer support, admin, and operations are all handled by software now. That's the cost structure that makes this whole thing possible. But none of that explains why it's happening right now instead of 5 years ago. And that's the part most founders are still missing. The money per person metric explains the output. The cost breakdown explains the margin, but neither one explains why one person can actually pull off today what they couldn't 2 years ago. And the answer is what happens when you layer the right tools on top of each other. Think about what one person can get done in a single day right now. Cursor writes the code, Claude handles the research, the writing, and the customer emails. An AI website builder handles the landing page. Zapier handles the stuff that used to take hours of manual work. Stripe handles payments. And Row handles the finances, so you're not doing spreadsheets on Sunday nights. Every single one of those tools is covering a job that used to require a dedicated person. But what most people miss is that these tools don't just replace jobs on their own, they talk to each other as well. And that's what makes the whole thing multiply. Think of it as 5 layers. First is building, where AI tools handle what used to be an engineering team. The second is getting customers, where social media replaces an entire marketing department. The third is the technical side of running the product, where tools like Vercel and Stripe handle everything automatically. The fourth is the day-to-day work, support, research, writing, where AI handles most of it. And fifth is money and finance, handled automatically in the background without you touching it. The tools don't just replace jobs individually, they feed into each other. A customer emails you a bug report, Claude drafts the response, summarizes the issue, that goes straight into your Cursor session where you fix it, the fix gets pushed automatically, and then Row logs the card charge for the server update without you touching it. What used to be 4 people in a morning of back and forth is now 1 person and 20 minutes. That's what makes the stack multiply instead of just add. And you can actually put a number on it. A founder doing everything by hand, no tools, no automation, call that 1 unit of output. Add an AI coding tool and you're moving 50 to 80% faster, so call it 1.6. Add AI for writing, research, and support, and you pick up another 30 to 40%. Now you're at around 2.2. Add automated finances and operations, and you're getting back to 5 to 10 hours a week that used to disappear into admin. And stack all of it, and a well-set-up solo founder is producing 4 to 5 times as much as someone without it. And because the costs are so low, almost all of that goes straight to profit. A $1 billion valuation doesn't mean $1 billion in revenue. Most software companies get valued at somewhere between 10 to 20 times their annual revenue. At 20x, which AI native companies with high margins and almost no headcount tend to command, you only need $50 million. That's a very different number than most founders picture when they hear the word billion. So what does a $50 million ARR actually look like as a journey? Say you launch and hit $10,000 a month. You're growing at 15% month over month, aggressive but real. Founders are doing this right now. At that rate, you cross $100,000 a month in about 18 months. You hit $500,000 a month, $6 million a year inside 3 years. Compounding doesn't feel like much in month 2 or 3, but by year 3, you're looking back at numbers that seem impossible from where you started. A traditional software company going from 1 million to 50 million ARR would hire 200 to 300 people along the way. Salary, equity, management overhead, coordination costs, and all of this compounds just like revenue does. A solo founder doing the same run doesn't. The scaling happens through the stack, not the headcount. And that difference is worth tens of million dollars of margin, because every dollar you don't spend on a hire is a dollar that stays in the business and pushes your valuation multiple up instead of down. That's the math. One person, no payroll, costs that barely move while revenue compounds. And that's why this is actually possible now in a way that wasn't 3 years ago. But the math only gets you so far, because knowing it's possible and watching someone actually do it are two completely different things. The founders building $1 million AI companies right now are 20 years old, and the way they're doing it doesn't look like anything that most people would expect. They're not working harder than everyone else. They're not running on some secret funding advantage. A lot of them just started with nothing, no audience, no connections, no technical background, and figured out a very specific sequence of moves that most founders never think to make in that order. The difference between the ones who get there and the ones who don't isn't talent or timing. It's that they understood something about how this new era of building actually works before most people caught on. That's what the next video gets into. And if you want to get your financial stack set up the way that the founders in this video do, Ro is linked in the description.